Hey, what's up guys, welcome to the video. Patch 1.10 for Mass Effect Andromeda has been released, and fortunately enough it's a complete disappointment, which pretty much means that all the previous builds that I've made for patch 1.09 are still relevant and still viable for Insanity. But this brings me to my next point, which is the fact that I have another build for Insanity for you guys, and this time around I managed to squeeze in the energy beam augmentation, which is something that I wanted to do in such a long time. Not only that, but I also introduced the CRYO ammo as well, so I'm super excited about this one. It's going to be a little bit of a hybrid between weapon damage and spell damage, so all in all this is something for everyone who tries to mix things up a bit and get into something a little bit more different than the usual. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Starting off with the skills, as you can see, we are using a combination of energy drain, incinerate and concussive shot with the fearless sentinel profile. This is something roughly similar with the previous build that I've made, and that is because I wanted another combo detonation build, and I have found out a nice little balance over here. Now as you can see here, I also introduced concussive shot, which in my opinion is one of the best abilities in the game. It has a rather low cooldown for a combo detonator, and on top of that it does a tremendous amount of damage. And I'm going to start off with the tech skill group. So as you can see over here, we are using energy drain and incinerate, though I also have some points invested in overload, and as I've said in the past, it's a perfect substitute for any of these two abilities. Just keep in mind that energy drain and overload shouldn't really be overlapped because they provide the same type of combo detonation, which is tech detonation, so you won't be able to chain it out. You need something in between, and that is why I've put incinerate, but something else could also work. Now I'm going to start off with energy drain, and I've changed things a little bit with this build because I needed to tweak them out. So as you can see here, I'm no longer using recharge speed. This time around I'm going with effectiveness. I want as much damage as possible because my cooldown is already going to be low enough from other sources. So rank 4 I went with effectiveness for the 20% damage and shield restored. Rank 5 I went with extended drain just as usual, so now energy drain is both a combo detonator and the primer, so I can chain up combos. And at rank 6 I went with damage for obvious reasons. As I've said, I just want to crank it up as much as possible. I went with incinerate, and this time around I expect this one to be both a combo and detonator at the same time. So rank 4 burning for an additional damage over time and duration, anti-armor because I found out that armored enemies are the ones that put me through the most difficulty. In rank 6 I went with detonation, while previously I went with double incinerate. As I've said, I want to chain combos, and incinerate needs to be both a primer and the detonator for this build to work. Now overload is something that you can definitely implement, and even though the tooltip doesn't say it, it's both a primer and a detonator at the same time. So in rank 4, for the sake of it, I went with damage, rank 5 charged overload, and rank 6 with maximum charge. One thing that really disappoints me about this ability is that if you chain it up on multiple primed targets, you will only detonate the first one. As for the passives, you will always want to pick these ones. As always, rank 4 support for more power restoration and defense. You're going to have quite a lot of survivability with this build since we're using Sentinel. Rank 5 team recovery for more shield restoration, and rank 6 as always life support. Nothing much to discuss over here. In offensive tech with a little bit of change in rank 4 with anti-armor. Rank 5 I went with detonators to increase the detonation even more. As I've said, we're going to partly focus on combo detonations as well, and rank 6 technical rounds in the detriment of elemental tech. Moving over to auxiliary systems, rank 4 priming for the increased combo priming rate. This is mostly benefiting the CRYO ammo because you will be able to prime targets for detonation way faster using it. Rank 5 impact dilation, and of course omnivance at rank 6, so the recharge speed of our abilities is reduced by 50% every time we're using a tech ability. So all in all, this is the tech tree. You can definitely invest more points to buff up these passives later on, and that holds true to the combat skill tree as well. Now as you can see here, we are using concussive shot, so at rank 4 I went with recharge speed. I would much rather prefer it on a cooldown then use the freaking annoying power cell capacity. Rank 5 I went with damage and force, and at rank 6 again picking the anti-armor perk. As you can see here, all the passives are invested to max, so obviously even though I'm only mostly using assault rifles, specifically the Valkyrie, I have invested in other weapons as well because I need the additional skill points to buff up these passives, which increase the maximum shields, maximum health and whatnot. So I'm just going to go over the assault rifles because this is the one that I'm using and this is the one that is going to work the best with your build. So in rank 4 I went with weight to reduce it, rank 5 with clip size, just to have a little bit more clip size there and not have bioconverters tap into my HP that often, and at rank 6 I personally picked critical hits for assault rifle headshot / weak points bonus. If you're shooting beams of energy, it's going to be super easy to aim for headshots and weak point. Other than that, combat fitness, I just picked up regeneration for increased survivability, heavy lifting for the increased weapon clip size mostly, and rank 6 hold the line in case I somehow manage to get at a really low HP and would be otherwise close to death. Combat tools, as always, I went with evasion, rank 5 combo detonations for combat abilities for the concussive shot, and at rank 6 I went with aerial combat. Honestly, there's no other choice over here, you're not going to really use melee with this build, so aerial combat made the most sense. That is the only reason why I've picked it. Now in biotics, technically speaking, you can put some points over here and even use some of the abilities. So for example, you could use throw, though throw, keep in mind, doesn't really do that much damage, and of course, even though you can spec it to be a primer as well, you're not going to be able to prime targets which are shielded or which cannot be lifted in the air. So for example, an A-Rock will not be primed for detonation, unfortunately, but there are a few passives over here that will definitely benefit you, and that is mostly in regards of the barrier skill, which pretty much gives you a lot more survivability. So for example, at rank 4 I went with the one that gives me more health and shield regeneration. Rank 5 biotic alacrity. In case you want to use lance, I would definitely recommend you to put lance instead of throw with this build, not only because of biotic alacrity but because the sentinel profile naturally reduces the shield cost of your abilities, which directly translates to lance costing less shields to activate. And rank 6 I went with active barrier so I can get more shields back. Normally I go with saving barrier, but I just wanted to mix things a little bit over here, and honestly I don't really miss saving barrier. I much rather prefer the onset 10% every time I kill an enemy, so it just depends on circumstances. If for example you're fighting enemies which can pretty much one-shot you even if you have shields, or two-shot you, then saving barrier is definitely going to be needed. But if you have enough survivability, simply go for active barrier. And that is basically what I'm going to go over in biotics. Now that we're done here, I'm going to go over the profile, and as you can see I have a rank 6 sentinel. For this you will need to have 126 points invested in both biotics and the tech skill group. Now going over the inventory, I'm going to start off with the weapons real quick, and as I've said, I am using the N7 Valkyrie with a couple of really important mods. First of all, I'm using the automatic fire systems, energy beam augmentation. It just fits the theme so perfectly, and it's so easy to aim at the weak points and headshots. And another thing that I found out is that it's way better at priming targets. Other than that, I'm just using a bioconverter so I don't have to reload the weapon anymore. As for the armor itself, well, there are a couple of choices over here. Obviously the one that I'm using right now is the Helios Icon helmet, just like with the previous Sentinel build, and I'm using all combo damage, which is the reaction optimizer augmentation. Pretty much the same with the chest, with the exception that I'm also putting a shield oscillator over there for another 25% shields restored on kill. But there is another choice to that, and that is the Cat Unity armor with the Maverick Deadeye armor. So there's definitely two paths you can pick over here with this build. Obviously I'm picking the one that also gives me some combo detonations. If you want to go with Maverick and Cat, then you're obviously going to do a lot more weapon damage, and that pretty much means that the combo damage from your abilities kind of falls off. So it all depends on what you want to do and what you want to achieve. I have found out that this is the perfect balance for this build. I do a lot of damage still, and I have my abilities and the combo damage. As for the fusion mod itself, currently I'm only using the fusion mod of rapid deployment, which as you can see is not really optimal. It reduces my weapon weapon damage by 15%, even though the power recharge speed is definitely increased by a big margin. But in the end, what you want to do is to get the fusion mod of Adrenaline, which resets all of your skills upon enemy kills. So that is something that I'm going to hunt for. The consumables, as I've said, we're going to use the cryo ammo. If you want to get these ones, it's really easy. Just go at the vendor on the Tempest, buy 5 of them, save the game, then load it back again, and the vendor is going to have another batch of 5 cryo ammos. You can buy them again endlessly, and that is pretty much it with the build. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have any questions for me, don't hesitate to ask them in the comment section below, and as always, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. That would help me tremendously, and I will see you guys next time. So peace out.